I do believe we're live, so I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you for joining me again on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to find ourselves present and consider seriousness. That is the message I've been getting from the universe as of late, is to consider seriousness. It came in a few different forms. My hair is adding to the topic, of course, must always. But today's dream topic was inspired by, in part, a show called The Studio. I think it's a Seth Rogen production. Uh, and also in part by almost like awareness, to say it in so many words, right? I've been paying attention, close attention, to the way that people are and to the things that people do and do not appreciate. And I don't know if people appreciate seriousness. I had a interesting moment this weekend, right? Like there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to use the word animosity, but it is kind of like that. There was no animosity towards me from any of my family members. But if any one of them did show animosity, the one that didn't is the one that might have caught some. It doesn't make any sense, Mel. Hear me out. Essentially, what happened is that there was uh, alignment in certain ways, right? Like, for the most part, I know that I am strange to the average person here in South Africa. I'm well aware of this fact. And it's not something that I lament, it is something that I understand about the way that I am and the way that I apply myself to this world. However, one of my family members technically applied themselves the way that I did. They went down the line of meditation and yoga. She's a certified yoga teacher as well. She's been in a meditation group for meditation commune for like 12 years. And she was the person that I find myself the most taught by, right? Because there were moments where I just wanted to engage. I just wanted to engage with this person, tell them about my life, tell them about my story. And they just wanted to tell me about this teacher that I had to follow. I had to follow this teacher. I had to. And she like really tried to press upon me that I needed to follow this teacher. And everything, and I shit you not, every single thing that I tried to share was put in light of it being wrong. And if I just followed this teacher, then maybe I would get closer to being right. Teachers sure love their teachers, yeah. And I sure don't. For some reason. I love my teachers as much as the next person. But as soon as you tell me I'm supposed to follow the teachings of this teacher, you've lost me. You completely lost me. Right? And I saw that happening again this weekend, where all I wanted to do was engage with what was right in front of us. And dogma, right, in so many words, came up again, right? And I understand she is 64, right? So she went down a different dogmatic way of applying herself than the traditional Christians did. However, I received the exact same internal feeling, right, from her that I do when people try to preach to me as well. And I feel like that was like such a teaching moment to me because I realized that even someone that took my path in some way, right? The alternative path, the meditation, the yoga, the even the mind altering substances. She went down all of those paths. But the place that she found herself in felt inaccessible, right? And it was a kind of seriousness, that it was real serious, that I need to grow my focus and find the light inside of me and all of my experiences as I'm having it right now. And like she did admit, at least closer to the end, that she doesn't know me and she doesn't know the path I've been walking. But like up until that point, there was just this constant, like at one point, like to give you some direct context of exactly why it is I felt so strongly against that that way of trying to teach, right? That seriousness in trying to teach was I said the words, I am walking the right path because it is my path. And then she goes, the right path is none, she tells me. And I'm like, and then she goes, you just have to listen to this teacher. And I'm like, no, no, actually, actually, no, I don't. Actually, no, I won't. And actually, I did try to. I went and accessed the links that she sent me. None of it's in English. It's not in English. I can't understand the teachings. And I feel like that part really baffled me as well. It's like the amount of separation, the amount of distance I felt between myself and this person who is on the same path of trying to find enlightenment that I am. It made me suddenly question the way that I am perceived, right? Especially in that way. And I feel I've taken some pride in not doing that to people, right? I will share concrete things that have helped me, right? Like fasting, like meditation, as like something that you need to go and find for yourself, right? Like, hey, see what all of this fasting stuff is about for you. Try it, check it out, right? See what it's like. But as soon as I go, no, you need to go and listen to this teacher, and then this teacher is gonna tell you eloquently exactly why it is fasting is good for you, and then upon you really listening to them, then maybe you'll reach the point where you can also start to fast. Even though that's in part true for some individuals, it doesn't work that way for me for some reason, right? And I guess it is an ego thing, but I don't know if it's a seriousness thing. It's more a matter of unseriousness, I would like to say. That it and I said these words directly to her, right? As she was trying to get me to follow her dogma. I told her that the reason I am the way I am and the reason I do these streams the way I do them is because I create a space for people like myself, right? Like the average person. I'm a pretty average person. I consider myself. Some people will tell me I'm special. I've met a lot of special people, right? All of us are special, or all of us are average, kind of thing, right? And I said to her that I like to create this space and give steps that are actionable to the average person. That you can join me in this space, you can hear the thing of value, I believe, I'd like to try and share, and then you can walk away with that value in hand as yours to take with you and to apply to your life the way that you seek to. And then I said to her that the problem is these teachings, these teachers are inaccessible to the average person. Her teacher is 93. Apparently, he's had a dream about him dying at 93. So they're like waiting for him to die. And I was like, oh. And I think maybe that's also a part of it where they want the teaching to be heard before they die or something like that. But again, the average person will never access that information. And if you want to try and tell me that there is a one right path, and I am supposed to take this path in order to find enlightenment, in order to fight, in order to find the light inside myself, right? I am instantly going to disagree. I'm gonna be like, no, no, no. Actually, light is everywhere. You literally have to open your eyes in order to find the light, right? Yes, the light is inside you as well, but awaken, right? And awakening can come to everybody. Awakening has come to the corporate executive. Awakening has come to the mom dealing with her kids. The awakening has come to a person twirling a sign in front of a establishment, right? Awakenment doesn't come in these neat little packages, something that you can teach someone. I don't believe at least. And I believe that there are practices, right? There are techniques that you can employ in order to grow your focus and your awareness. However, I don't believe that there's only one way, right? She even said that, like she was trying to teach me that all I need is non-attachment, and that I need to escape. I need to escape the cycle. And I go, no, no, I don't actually need to escape the cycle. I know that you believe that, right? And I also value the Eightfold Path. But there's nothing for me to escape. I'm not trapped. I'm not trapped. If escape was what I was looking for, there are other ways to do that, right? If not substances, actual ceasing to exist. And that is not my objective, right? I am here for this experience as I'm having it, for every single step that I take. And when I shared that sentiment, right, every step I take is right because it is my step into my life. And she goes, nah. Oh no, I just killed a spider. I'm sorry, dude. She goes, nope. It's not, that's not how it is. I was like, okay, you know what? Now I'm gonna put on my unseriousness. And I did. And I got so unserious, right? Because I was trying to have a serious conversation about the nature of soul, about the journey that it takes, about the lessons that we learn as human beings, and the way that that lesson continually shapes your next decision, right? Actively building your path out in front of you as you're walking it. And I have at least a certain amount of experience. I don't think no experience is the right word. It's more conviction, confirmation bias. Yes. I have a certain amount of confirmation bias that the path that I am actively trying to walk is the path I'm supposed to, right? Every step I take forward teaches me more about myself and about this world. And I've never not had that as an experience. It's always been constant. And maybe that's why, with a religious family, I always found myself very separate feeling, right? Because I never got to the point that they're at to start wanting other people to follow a certain teaching. And again, I am more than willing to admit that I do share passions for certain things. But I'm trying to now, especially as I'm learning these lessons, I'm trying to figure out how I can be less serious about the things that I care about. Still cultivate that same care and intention inside myself. But when it comes to sharing that with someone else, I don't think they need me to be serious. What do you think about that as a way of thinking? Is that right? Is it wrong? I do see we have some friends here. Mojo and Sam. Of course, Zhao. Darren is here too. Sending you blessings too, dear friend. Mm, without knowing who said this, I'd remind you there are some people who talk about spirituality, but only to hear the sound of their own voice. I don't know if she was talking only to hear the sound of her own voice. She did mention to me before we started having the conversation that she doesn't get to talk about this stuff with any of her other family members. So she might have been starved for the opportunity to talk, and maybe in me feeling a little bit serious about this subject matter, I should remind myself thereof. But she didn't let me talk, not once. At some point, I had to literally tell her, please let me finish my story. Stop. Like, I'm not even joking, right? And I showed her a sense of seriousness. I'm like, hey, I'm not telling you this story to get your confirmation, to get your approval, to get your wow. I'm not telling you the story to impress you about how great I am. I'm just telling you the story as an account of the experiences that I've had inside of myself, not seeking it in someone else, just me and myself having that experience. And then, like, as I'm trying to tell this story, like, she keeps trying to interrupt me. No, actually, that wasn't light. No, actually, the entities, they'll try and deceive you. No, actually, this. No, actually, that. And I was like, can you can you let me talk? I'll like to have an opportunity to do that as well, right? And I feel like maybe that was part of my fractal as well, right? The seriousness in me, because I also, for the most part, don't get to talk about stuff like this with my family. So it did seem like a little bit lack of seriousness could have done us both a lot better to realize that actually none of us know what the hell's going on. Actually, that old guy that you followed for the last 13 years of your lives also doesn't know what he's talking about. And the best part is, as I like went to go and listen to some of his sermons, I think some part of it was English, right? But then he's touching on Buddhist wisdom, the exact same Buddhist wisdom that every other Buddhist teacher teaches, right? Like exact same stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I've already gone down this rabbit hole, haven't I? What just happened? Did this thing just go dead? I sure hope it's live again. Yeah, but I am learning. I am definitely learning, right? Maybe I'm learning wrong because what I'm learning is a personal reaction to a certain way of applying information, right? And I've noticed this about myself more than once, right? As soon as you in a direct exchange, instead of acknowledging the direct exchange and what is right in front of you, as soon as you try and like attach it to this other thing, right? It takes away from the depth that there is available to you a little bit. And I do that too. I think that that's the part of it. Maybe that's a quirk of human conversation, is that we do end up reaching for our experiences. And the closest experiences we have are usually the most poignant, the most clear to us. Did you share your teachers with her? I did. I did actually, Zhao. And she scoffed. She scoffed at me. She was like, those are mainstream teachers, she goes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Uh, Carl Jung, Terence McKenna, Alan Watts, Ram Dass, they're not as good at teachers because other people have been taught by them. This teacher that I have, only like 40 people have been trained to ascension or whatever by him. Only like 40 people. And I'm like, oh, cool. I'm sure that's very cool. I'm sure it's very meaningful, the teachings that you've had. But I'm learning from you right now that I don't want that teaching. That's what I downloaded. I think that's the biggest kind of like yikes. Where where has my microphone been this whole time? It's probably not been the best audio quality. My bad. My bad. I suddenly felt for it. I felt my necklace and I was like, is that the microphone? But I think that's the biggest thing, right? The fact that I felt a real sense of aversion, strong, strong aversion, right? Like to the point where I eventually ceased ceased the conversation, where I was like, this is gonna go nowhere. This is gonna go nowhere. Thank you for the chat's extended family member, but I'm gonna go and do anything else, right? Because anything would be better than this. Oh, curious about what she had to say about that. Yeah, mainstream teachers have profited. They have asked money for their seminars. They have sold books. They have had influence, right? Which means that technically their teachings are more worldly, which means technically more wrong. And because I've been taught by them, everything I know is wrong as well. And in order for me to actually have something to say, I have to forget everything that I know. I have to forget everything I know and then cleanse myself. She actually used those words. I have to cleanse myself. And I was like, I bet all of this colorful personality needs to be washed, does it? Needs to be washed. I need to be a shiny little pebble. No jacket edges for you. No, I got peeved. I didn't communicate any peeve. Nope. But I did let her know that I do not agree. I don't actually. I don't agree. Wisdom usually results in humility, not certainty. Yeah. What's up, Darren? It's nice having you here too. There are many ways that there are as many ways as there are people. What a beautiful thing to say, Joe. Yes, I believe this too. That's one of the most beautiful parts about this life thing for me, right? Is the fact that you get to have this depth of experience, right? And again, I think that's also a part of it where I never try and tell you how you're supposed to experience something, right? I think I'm like confident enough to say that. What I usually do is I'll give things advice, if you will, that adds to your experience. Never how you're supposed to experience it, right? If I encourage you to do fasting, I never tell you you are supposed to fast and then you're supposed to feel good about it and you're supposed to, have this experience 3 days in. I never do that. I go, try fasting. And then for me, the dialogue arises in you doing that and then coming back and then letting me know I did this thing and this was my experience. And I gain a deep sense of satisfaction in finding these experiences with other people and them sharing their experience with me. So, yeah, serious. Are you serious? Seriously. I'm trying to not be Mojo, Darren, Sam, Melton Moore, love to you. Aversions and attachments are a signal of inner work to be done. It is true. But I was encouraged, Jean. I was encouraged to stop doing my live streams because that was an attachment. That was going to keep me from reaching enlightenment one day. And I was like, ja, jij kan en je moet en vlieg. Most of you won't understand what that means. That's good. It's basically like pound sand. It's like pound sand. It's like, yeah, go pound sand. You want to tell me that I need to stop doing what I have decided is my purpose and what I have decided I will do, right? And she was like, yeah, you're attached. You're attached to your influence on this world. And I was like, yeah, yes, I am. Yes. Because again, I can be attached to many things in this life. I can be attached to money. I can be attached to pleasure as it relates to excessive eating or, seeking companionship at every corner. However, that is not my purpose. My purpose is to have a certain type of influence. And I'm trying to refine that part of myself as well, in this space, in the influence that I am going to bring into your friends' life. And I'm acknowledging that a certain seriousness is not at least in my frame of reference, is not the influence that I want, right? I cannot stomach dogma, right? I had deep aversion for the religion that I was born into as well. And it's as Joe said, right? From that aversion came like a hard swing to the other side where I went full atheist, believed that I'll be eaten by worms, and that's the end of my story when I die, to finding spirituality in my own way, right? So that aversion pushed me far enough away from religiosity into the darkness, if you will. And then I had to go and find the light in myself, to echo the words of this aunt. And it was this, continues to be, this process of deep significance, right? It's a process of purity, of integrity to myself and to my path. And to be told that I need to actually scrap all that and start following this other teacher because he's gonna tell you what your actual path is. He'll let you know what path you're supposed. I'm like, no, no, actually, actually no. I'd rather, I'd rather pound sand, sand pounding. I'd rather do that instead than being told what to do. I personally love hearing from other teachers about who their teachers are. I've met some yoga practitioners who don't really have any lineage. They earned a certification overnight. And I shared a little bit of that as well. You know, the fact that my certificate does have a lineage behind it, but she doesn't know the people that I got my certificate from either, right? And in that way, it doesn't actually mean anything. Like, unless the person that you're talking to, at least in my perspective, really knows the depths of who it is you're talking to, right? It's like sharing a story, right? And you're trying to share a story about what you and this friend did, and then you're trying to remember this friend's brother's name, right? Yeah, and then my friend Johnny, his brother, what's his brother's name again? Was it John? Was it Pete? Was it Stephen? Maybe it was Johnny. And you're like, it doesn't matter. Does it matter what the person's name was? What did they do? What did they teach you? What happened next in the story? And then I always get stuck. I always get stuck in those fractals, and it's been something that's happened to me for a very long time. It's the same thing with qualifications, right? Where some individuals will teach you even that when you're going to create YouTube videos for a certain topic, one of the first things that you're supposed to do is to tell people why you are an authority, right? I'm gonna now tell you, right? It's like starting every single live stream. It's like, okay, everybody, I'm MeltMore. I've been doing live streams every day for 1,800 days, and I've been doing yoga classes, and I've been making art for all of these thousands of days. And because of that, you should listen to me because I clearly know what I'm talking about. That doesn't mean to me, I still don't. I know for a fact even that I don't know what I'm talking about, despite having put in thousands upon thousands of days in trying to find myself in everything that it is I do. Right? So I never believe an individual when they give me this little list of achievements, right? Because again, I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed by stuff like that for some reason. I think the only thing that I'm really impressed by is things that are actually hard to do, right? That's the only thing that I'm ever impressed by. It needs to actually be hard. If you're going to brag about something, it needs to be actually hard, right? Like the average person is not capable of doing that. And there are very few things that are like that in this world. And I think that's a part of the beauty of it, right? Is the fact that you can do anything that any other person has done. But in that way, tell me what you've learned. Don't tell me what you've done, right? Because doing is easy. Doing is very easy. Learning and actually applying the lessons is hard. Very difficult indeed. In that case, I find credentials and training matter when you're choosing someone to learn from. We're all on our own path. This is true. This is true, Jean. I guess it is like a matter of what it is you're looking for, right? I have never tried to find out who taught Terence McKenna, or who taught Alan Watts, or who taught Ram Dass. I think I kind of know. I think Ram Dass, Ramaswamy. Hey Google, who was Ram Dass's guru? Is it Ramaswamy? Uh, Guru Ram Dass was the fourth of 10 Sikh gurus. He was born in Jetta, found this. No, I don't think that's right. Ram Dass, the American teacher. Who was his teacher? There we go. Richard Alfred, an American spiritual teacher, psychologist, and author, best known for his work, Be Here Now, popularized Eastern spirituality. You see, like they're not even telling me who his previous teacher was because it doesn't matter. At least to me, it doesn't matter. I know it matters to some people. I know it does. I understand that. Some people are very serious about it, even. And I don't know why I am not like that. Why is it that it takes away from the teaching that you're trying to give? I think it's, to me personally, it's like layers of abstraction, right? Where if I, it's like this. If I go, and it happened with my cousins this weekend, right? The more layers of abstraction there is between you and this person, the more distant you feel from them. Where someone would ask me, "Oh, who are you?" And I go, "Oh, I am Hanli's son. Hanli is Oma Aniki's daughter. Oma Aniki is Umtir's sister. And then that cousin is the child of Umtir, right? And all of those layers of extraction is why we've never been close, right? And it's almost like in trying to even explain the layers of extraction, you feel even more distant. So I think that's what it is for me, where if you're telling me the teaching of this teacher who was taught by this teacher who sat in a mountain with this other teacher, and that's why this teaching you just gave me has significance. By the time you've told me about the third teacher's teacher, I'm not listening to you anymore. But if you tell me the thing, you actually try and tell me, I learned this from someone, and this is how I've applied it to my life. And this is how my life has changed because of this application of this wisdom. And this is how my relationships with people improved or changed. And this is how my relationship with myself and my body and my relationship with food has transformed. Right? Now I'm all ears. Now I'm like, oh, wow, that is, I didn't think about it like that. Right? Now that I'm hearing your direct perspective. And I think maybe it is the way that I listen. Right? It's like how close is it? How close is it to me? I think it is also a matter of like life. I think that's also a big part of it, right? Is because I believe the way that things register to you, the lessons as they're taught, differ depending on what you've been taught, right? Who you are and how the world treats you changes the lessons that you gain, right? You can, two people from two different worlds, two different outlooks for the future can hear the exact same teaching and apply it completely differently to their lives. And I think that's also a big part of it for me, where I don't want to live any life that has been lived. It's very important to me, in fact, that I don't, right? If I could make every single decision in a way that nobody else had made that decision before me, that would be the decision that I choose. And I'm more than willing to admit that it might lead me down treacherous paths, might hurt me, actually hurt me. But in that exploration, I'll get to have an experience that is unique to me, unique to my life, unique to what I'm supposed to learn from this experience, not what someone else has necessarily learned, right? The articulation, the contextualization of information, unfortunately, brings with it the person. And that can be good, especially so if there is love, right? And I think that's in part what this space is about as well, is that I do trust that you, friend, love me, at least a little bit. And that love maybe allows you to listen with more attention than you would have otherwise if you didn't know me at all. And I think that's where it is as well, is that as soon as something is shared, I think there might be some value in you telling about a teacher when that teacher is known, right? For instance, I can go, do you know Ramdas? And you can go, no, I don't know Ramdas. And you can be like, oh, well, doesn't really matter. There was this old teacher who would share this wisdom, of like, if you find yourself, if you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family. And he was taught that by someone else, but he's my immediate link to that, right? In the one instance, I'm almost going to try and move past as fast as possible in my communication about the teacher itself. And in the other instance, if the person knows about the teacher, there can be a confirmation of like, oh, I know that guy. I listen to him too. And then there can be, again, a sense of unification in that. But if it's you telling a person about this teacher and they tell you, I don't know them, and then you keep harping on, you're supposed to know them, how can you not know them? Have you been living under a rock? And then you're more and more abstraction and further and further away from each other. Yeah, I see Naren. Naren. I said, yay. It's so nice to have you here with me. I'm going to get to your comments soon. I was wondering why it was so quiet. It has been a little bit more quiet as of late. I think YouTube probably changed something about their algorithms again, as they do. Thanks. Thanks, YouTubes and stuff. I appreciate it nonetheless. You friends finding yourself here with me. Darren said, just imagine all the knowledge your peer has that you have not experienced. It's up to you to listen and maybe catch some wisdom. I was open to. That's the point I'm trying to make, Darren. I am so open to, in your words, catching some wisdom through the knowledge of a peer. But if the peer is communicating to me the knowledge that they gained from the knowledge of someone else, to me, it's like you telling me very detailedly, how quantum mechanics works, right? And like, I don't know why I'm choosing quantum mechanics of all things, because nobody understands quantum mechanics. But like you telling me about this professor that you had who told you that this is the way you're supposed to understand it, and in you telling me about it, I cannot feel like I am understanding it more with you, right? You're not understanding it well enough for me to understand it as you're trying to tell me about it. And then you're telling me that I'm supposed to go and learn from this other person, and then maybe I'll gain the understanding so we can have the conversation we're having right now. Too many layers of abstraction there, and my eyes and my ears and my mouth close. Just imagined. It's true. I think everyone has something others can learn from. Again, that is not the part that I'm disputing. I hope I'm making that very clear. I love learning from the person right in front of me, right? Learning from you, learning from the person that is having the conversation with me in that moment. And I'm willing to learn that they have learned what they know from someone else, right? Yeah, I learned about fasting from this person. And I go, yeah? And then you start telling me about, yeah, and since I started fasting, my skin got a little bit better. And I had this deep experience of spirituality one day, meditating in a fasted state. And right, that's what I want to learn. That's the depth that there is to be explored, right? Because again, it's like, maybe it's a novelty thing for me. right? If you're going to tell me about this potential YouTube video that I have to watch, right? And then I'll be better, or maybe I'll have the context. Then we can maybe sit down and watch the YouTube video together, right? And it would be different in that way if you tell me I'm supposed to watch, like, and I have technically, but I'm supposed to watch every Kirk's Gezacht video in order to have a conversation with this person because they've watched every single one of them and that's the level that they're at. And if I haven't, then I still need to go and find it. Then I'm gonna be like, okay, guess I have homework, and I guess we'll try again after all of my homework is done or something. Giving up on your live streams to give up an attachment is antithetical to who you are. I've seen you in a lot of aspects, but never one that would pull up the ladder behind him. Whew. I am taking that as a compliment. Giving up your live streams to give up an attachment is antithetical to who you are. I've seen you in a lot of aspects, but never one that would pull up the ladder behind him. Yeah, exactly. And I believe that, Sam. I believe that this is, in a way, that ladder. And every single live stream that I've done is another rung in that ladder, right? And yes, I could do a lot else. I could go and that's what she was trying to really encourage me to do as well, is that it would be a full ride. I wouldn't even need money, she tells me. You won't need money. We'll sponsor you. We'll pay for your plane tickets. We'll we'll get you your visa, all right? You'll live in a monastery and you'll be taught how to properly meditate, all right? But all you have to do is give up all of the stuff, all of your life stuff. Just give all of that up. And then you can be enlightened. And I'm like, no, no. Because again, it's as you said, Sam, if I had to teach that to another person, right, that would be me pulling up the ladder as well. I'd literally be going against every single thing that I've been saying this whole time. It would be a great shame in my mind. I thought of the space, opened the stream, heard Ram Das. Hi Mel. Hey dude. It's nice having you. I'm okay. I will be passive on chat again. It's okay. Naren, you're welcome here, friend. While today's topic is quite meta, we'll be sticking to and not deviating to talk about football either. Yeah. Because again, all I would be able to say is no. No, I don't love football. In so many words. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't think I've watched a single football match in my entire life, at least not to completion. I've seen it on TV and then I went and did something more interesting. Poking. Oh, very well, Joe. Making my first Teluga feature film. Not here to promote. Promote away, bro. Let us know where we'll be able to watch it. It's going to be on your channel. Are you still on the Discord? You should send us the link to your feature film when it's available to us as well, bro. I am grateful. Came here. I'm in between the stream. I will catch up. Remain passive. Love is true. That is awesome. The quietness comment had to do with your mic being on the ground. Thank you for letting me know, Joe. I think I might have missed the quietness comment. I don't know if you deleted it, maybe. But yeah, I definitely did have my microphone here next to me. I'm sure you were able to hear me, kind of, but now it should be better again. Thank you, Jean. I have to not comment on such immediate things, to not pull away from the topic either. I really do want you friends to, like, as quickly, if you spot something, right, that is not right, like the stream stops working or the audio sounds the way it's not supposed to, just like say something, because it makes me retroactively cringe so hard that I lose my train of thought in imagining you friends not getting the best possible experience. Oh, I shook your hand 25th of September. That was the day before Joe arrived. On the day they took your blood. Oh! It felt like a kindred spirit, and I reached out to you. I am my greatest teacher because there is no cost or barrier to knowledge in our age. Yes. Ekdel, are you the man with 5 daughters? You're, I think, the only person that I let know what my channel name is. I want to remember purely. But what a pleasure it is to have you here with me. I am in complete agreement with your assessment in that, right? Your best teacher is yourself, especially in the age where there's no cost barrier to knowledge, right? All of the knowledge is available to you. And I feel, and this is maybe some PTSD, right? To echo Hoopy, he sent me a message recently from school. I did not enjoy school at all. And it was in large part because I was being force fed information that had absolutely no value, at least to me, right? I can't remember anything from school. I guess I can remember how to read, but that's only because I've been continually doing it since then. School teaches you a very broad spectrum of things, right? Allows you to be exposed to a bunch of ideas. But every single thing that I have learned, really learned, I had to go and learn for myself. Everything. And again, I'm more than willing to admit that there are teachers out there that can teach you things. But it has to be this matter of like personal agency. I have to feel, and this is maybe a wrong way to say it. Oh, I just saw a little hummingbird. Or it's not a hummingbird, Joe says. It's like because they don't hover, but it's pretty. You see them on the flowers? Some nectar. There has to be this certain level of want, right? A personal agency. I have to want to learn how to do something. I'm thinking about like last year's starting a business, being able to do the 3D mapping kind of stuff. There's technically not that many people online that do that or that teach those kinds of lessons, right? Some of the most popular videos had like 80,000 views on them, right? And it kind of dawned on me at that point that this was a pretty niche thing to learn about. But I wasn't trying to learn about it because it was popular. It was like everybody and their mom wants to learn about this new thing now. I learned about it because it was something that interested me, something that my soul called for. And as a result, I found joy in the learning process, right? And I remembered what I learned. And every time there is almost a curriculum, to say it in so many words, certain part of me just doesn't want to engage with it. And I don't know if I've been conditioned by my society or if that is a quirk of my personality. I'll let it be. What a pleasure. Ekdel. Remembering the exact day that I drew blood. On the day they took your blood, I felt a kindred spirit and reached out to you. It is a pleasure having you here. I don't know if you're still here. I'm doubting it at this point, but it is a pleasure to see you again. Melt, you taught me the value of showing up and being authentic. You saying wishful thinking, I've seen you only as authentic this whole time. When I make money, time, I will travel to your country and say hi. And yes, I had put everything at 100% volume and your mic is off. Is there still something wrong with my audio? Unplug this. And plug it back again. GBs. I hope not. I hope that the audio is working. I said I was wondering why you were so quiet. And you mentioned the YouTube algorithm. That was my bad. But the streams have been more quiet, numbers wise. I have been noticing. I get to have the executive seat, right? And I've been like, oh, well, looks like we're receiving 10 times less viewers than usual, all right? And that's usually Google algorithms. Like, okay, Google, you do you. Egdal is here too. Hey, you're still here, dear friend. I don't know if you want to give me more context so I can remember who you are. But I think you're the dad. Are you that side yet? Maybe you can tell me that, Ekdal. Are you on that side yet? He's moving to America as well. If he met me the day I drew blood, because all of us had to do that. I think your audio is fine. Thank you, Zhao, for letting me know too. A wedding. I think I missed the previous one up top. Uh, and you mentioned the YouTube algorithm. When the immediate comments are so behind, I've noticed they have yet to receive, they yet received out of context. That happens too, definitely. I had to lean over, cancel outside noises to listen, add to the value. Sorry for being passive. Yes, on Discord. My film comes out in the US also. Good. You want to tell us what it's about? Maybe you can give us some context. Get us a little bit hyped up for it. At a wedding currently, and it's softcore torture. 4 hours until food. Ooh, a mess. Yeah, I get it. I didn't have to wait that long yesterday, but they brought out like appetizers, these liver samosas with a little bit of salad. And then those three liver samosas and salad got absolutely demolished quick fast. And then there was this big gap of waiting for the rest of the food to come out. And I also had that sense of like, any second now, any second now they'll remember about us again. Doing so at a wedding adds an extra layer to it as well. The last wedding that I went to was the start of this year. It was my cousin's. I feel I'm happy that I didn't feel that hungry. Because if you had to count from like the start of the wedding stuff to actually eating, it was also like 5 to 6 hours. Yeah, there was a lot of that I was thinking about this weekend as well. All right, thinking about a quote that goes, "Children eat to live, adults live to eat." I feel like I am somewhere in the middle, and I don't want to go too far the other way. I'll give you the answer, then the lesson is not learned. The failure is amongst the reminder of understanding. I don't need you to give me the answer, right? Because again, even if you do, even if I told you the answer to less cancer and better body composition and overall well being is fasting, I told you. You've now been told. Congratulations, you know the answer. That doesn't mean you've learned the lesson, unfortunately. All right? Quite the contrary. Some people will even find themselves resisting receiving the answer like that to download the lesson for themselves. The point for me is give me give me the answer, if you will, and I will decide if it's the lesson that I need to learn, right? And fasting is one of those. I grew up in a household where fasting was something seen as religious. You do it for God. And I never did because I was like, I don't think God wants me to starve. All right, don't think he's really into that. And then the technology, the internet, the consensus around the health benefits started arising. More and more studies came out, and suddenly it was clear that fasting had these metabolic processes, had these cascading effects on your biology. And upon learning that answer, right, gaining all of those lessons, that's when it actually clicked for me. And I started applying that to my life in the way that I can personally benefit from that wisdom. People can teach you, people can give you the answer all day, every day. But it is, as you said, you have to learn how to apply it. All right. Knowing how things work is only as useful as you working on those things. All right. It's great. It's great that I kind of know how a car works, right? A little bit, for the most part. I understand that there are spark plugs and that there are pistons and they need a certain amount of compression and that those pistons are attached to a crankshaft and that crankshaft is attached to a gearbox that has differentiating gears for different amounts of spin to torque ratio. And I can understand that you can let the gas as it comes out of the exhaust run through a turbo that spins up and adds compression back onto your engine, helping you extract more power from it. I understand all of that stuff to some degree. However, I am not going to now actively go and study more and more and more about how a combustion engine works because I don't want one. And I'm not going to be working on them either for the most part, right? So it's like, yes, if something was wrong with my engine, right, I tell this person, yeah, it keeps misfiring. Why would it do that? And then the person goes, have you checked your spark plugs? Have you seen if all of them are okay? Have you seen the timing on your spark plugs? Right? And then I can be like, oh, thank you for the answer, potentially. And then I can apply that lesson, right? I can see if that is the solution to my problem. In that way, I do rely on people's teachings a lot, right? In fact, I love being able to query, right? Like search something online and there's someone who made a YouTube video about the answer to this problem. I very much enjoy. For instance, this thing, this necklace, right? This necklace has a certain kind of like drawstring knot. And I have now made, I think, 4 of them in my life. The next time I create this drawstring, when I cut this string off and I put a new string on it, I'm going to watch the video again, right? And you can say that I don't learn the lesson about how to make that knot, but again, it's a matter of how many times I apply myself to that problem. I replace this string like once every year, once every 2 years, right? I feel like it's getting close again. I'll definitely replace it before I head to America. Be extra fresh, you know. Let people judge me uh, with less context. Right? And I feel like that's how it is for me. It's like there's a lot more calling for our attention at all times than ever before. And then it's important for us to give our full attention to the subject matter that is in front of us. Yeah. My mind is trying to make more links, but I think that is it. Words shall fail cinema. I will ensure to share a pirated link to all of you to watch. The movie is a slice of life. Say link later. Thank you. A buddy comedy, something that would make the producers money, made with a lot of heart. That is, unfortunately, what is required of us when we're working with budgets, dear Aaron. But it is as you said. Did I just lose a show message? It is as you said. These these movies are expected to produce money for the producers. And as you are allowed the opportunity to potentially make something that could produce an executive, a producer money, you will start to cut your teeth, Naren. You'll get better and better at being a director, better and better at your craft. All right. And even if you have to make money in the short term doing that instead of just being passion projects, just being able to make art, something spectacular for the sake of it, this process, you learning, and I feel like I'm a part of that process alongside you, right? I am still in the infancy of my creative potential. The things that I'll do with my life, ideally as it relates to the arts, the spectacular, will be more grand than I can imagine right now. But the only way for me to get to those extravagant moments is for me to have moments like these. Listening to the bugs scream, appreciating the greenery around me, noticing the thickened clouds building above us to bring some more rain with it as well. This is also a part of all of the great things that I'll get to do. Something, something, don't take it so seriously. More and more curious. Wonder if Joe is editing that message that she retracted. For the time being, I'll show you a flower. We've already been here an hour. That was quick. Mm-mm-mm. I'm so happy to have been part of this seriousness stream because my movie is a comedy, but my life is like how you are. Really. I know, bro. We take it and ourselves very seriously sometimes, Naren. And it's not something to be ashamed of, how serious we take our craft, but it is a matter of learning how to take it seriously well, all right? To allow ourselves to be insulted, to allow ourselves to be made fun of, to allow ourselves to be a little bit embarrassed, and still to remember that we're going to be okay. There is nothing that can touch you, kind of thing, right? Slowly but surely. Hard eyes for me. Oh, yeah. So much love. What places remember? Every place is full. Even when it looks empty, it is holding its breath. Floors remember footsteps, not as sound, but as weight. The way a body once trusted them. Walls have learned the shape of laughter, the pitch of arguments, the quiet after doors closed for good. A field knows every back that rested in it, every hunger eased in the shade, every animal that slept without fear. The soil carries names. It was never taught, only felt. Nothing happens at once. Each moment leaves a residue. Each life rearranges the air in ways that never fully settle back. Places do not judge what passed through them. They host, they witness. They remain steady while generations come and go, learning how to be human again and again. To stand somewhere is to enter a library Without walls or language, the stories are not told, they are offered. And reverence is simple. Arrive gently, move with care, leave nothing. You were held by more. Leave knowing you were held by more than you could ever see. Isn't that wild that we're held by a planet right now? Right? You can stare out and see the horizon, stare out and see buildings around you, and you can think, oh, that's the world. But the world is enormous. I wonder, hey Google, how much in surface area of the world am I actually seeing right now here in Lampumalang? Lampumalanga. Oh my goodness, I butchered that. No. You're only seeing an extremely tiny fraction of the Earth's surface, which is about 510 million square kilometers. Assuming a clear view at ground level, a person can typically see around 82 square kilometers, or approximately 0.0000016% of the Earth's surface, because the Earth's curvature goes down so quickly that it hides the rest. Can you just think about that? Can you just take a moment to think about that? Oh my goodness! 0.4016%. Right? So not a percent of a percent. Not a percent of a percent of a percent. Not a percent of a percent. Four, five. 5 orders of magnitude, is it? That is bonkers. You're seeing a sliver of earth right now. Like the smallest, little tiniest of slivers. If you had to cut a cake and you only had to get 0.0000016% of it, you'd probably be super upset. But if you could get everything that you're looking at right now, that would be more land than you would probably be able to explore, at least in the short term. Right? It would take you your lifetime almost to go and see everything, to go and meet every tree, notice every ant mound, spot every animal that lives on it with you as well. We are being held by so much more than we can ever see. And I appreciate you, friends, holding this space with me. Self-deprecating humor and self-aware are my genre of life. Lovely words, lovely presence, all humans. Thank you for joining us as well, dear friend. It was and continues to be a pleasure creating this space. Love to you, dear friends. I'll see you again